What would you do if someone tried to belittle you, strip away your dignity, and treat you as though you were less than human, only for you to rise in a way no one saw coming? This story is one that will grip your heart and open your eyes. So, before we dive into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because what you're about to hear is not just a tale of injustice. It's a lesson in strength, courage, and the kind of twist that leaves entire families stunned, jaws dropped, and reputations shattered. Stay with me until the end, because her next move left everyone speechless. The wealthy Whitmore family lived in a sprawling mansion on the edge of a quiet, leafy neighborhood, where every home stood as a testament to power, influence, and wealth. Among the house staff was Amara, a young black woman who had been working for the Whitmores for nearly 2 years. She was quiet, diligent, and known for her meticulous attention to detail. But to the Whitmores, especially Margaret Whitmore, the matriarch of the family, Amara was just the help. The Whitmores often hosted gatherings, lavish dinners, charity events, business parties, and Amara was always present, ensuring the glasses were filled, the silverware polished, the linens perfectly folded. Yet, despite her hard work, she was invisible to them, until the moment one careless command shattered that fragile silence. On one Friday afternoon, when the Whitmores were preparing for a high-profile luncheon with investors, Margaret's voice cut through the marble foyer like a whip. "Amara, stop standing there and go clean something." The words were sharp, dripping with disdain, dismissing Amara as if her worth began and ended with her ability to scrub floors. The other staff froze, their eyes darting toward Amara to see how she would react. For a moment, Amara's breath caught in her chest, but instead of lowering her head and obeying like she had done countless times before, she paused, her dark eyes steady, her hands clasped in front of her. Something inside her shifted. She had tolerated enough. The patronizing tone, the subtle racism, the way the Whitmores flaunted their wealth as though it gave them the right to step on others. That day, something inside Amara whispered, "No more." She simply nodded, but behind that small nod, a plan was already taking root. It wasn't anger alone that drove her. It was strategy, a quiet storm waiting to break. In the days that followed, Amara went about her work as though nothing had changed. She polished, dusted, and ironed with the same steady rhythm as before, but beneath the surface, she was watching, learning, and remembering. The Whitmores often underestimated her presence. They discussed private matters openly, assuming the staff didn't pay attention or wouldn't understand. But Amara listened carefully. About Mr. Whitmore's failing business deals. About Margaret's desperate attempts to keep up appearances. About the son, Charles, who was hiding secrets of his own that could ruin the family name. Amara was invisible to them, but that invisibility became her strength. Every time they dismissed her, she collected information, piecing together a puzzle that could one day shatter their carefully constructed facade. Then came the evening when Margaret, in front of guests, once again barked, "Amara, go clean something!" The guests chuckled awkwardly, their laughter mixing with Margaret's smug smile, and Amara felt the sting, but this time she didn't. Just swallow it. Later that night, when the Whitmores were asleep, Amara sat in her small room at the back of the estate and began writing. Page after page, she recorded everything, every insult, every overheard conversation, every cruel act the Whitmores had committed towards staff, neighbors, and even each other. The notebook became her weapon. Her plan wasn't one of violence or revenge in the traditional sense. It was exposure. Amara realized the greatest power wasn't in fighting them with anger, but in showing the world who the Whitmores really were when the masks fell off. And soon, an opportunity would arrive that she couldn't ignore. That opportunity came during the Whitmores' grand charity gala, a night meant to showcase their generosity and cement their place among the city's elite. Politicians, CEOs, celebrities, and journalists filled the mansion, sipping champagne. Beneath chandeliers, while Margaret floated from group to group, her laughter practiced and her pearls gleaming. Amara worked silently, weaving between guests with trays of hors d'oeuvres, but her mind was racing. She had tucked her notebook into her bag earlier that day, unsure if she'd use it tonight, but fate handed her the moment she had been waiting for. Midway through the event, Margaret, feeling emboldened by her audience, snapped her fingers at Amara in front of the guests. "You girl," she said loudly, "go clean something. You're standing there like a statue. Earn your keep." A hush fell over the nearby group. A few guests exchanged uneasy glances. Others sipped their drinks to avoid eye contact, but no one said a word. Margaret smirked, believing she had reminded everyone of their place in her world. But that was the last straw. Amara didn't bow her head. She didn't walk away. Instead, she set down her tray, took a deep breath, and in a calm, unwavering voice said, "If cleaning up your mess is what you want, Mrs. Whitmore, I'd be happy to. But tonight, I think the kind of mess this room needs to see isn't on the floor." Gasps rippled through the crowd as Amara pulled the notebook from her bag. She began reading aloud. Mr. Whitmore's shady business dealings with corrupt contractors, Margaret's manipulation of donations meant for charity that she rerouted to her personal accounts, Charles's secret scandal that involved bribery and deceit. Every revelation struck like lightning, her words echoing through the opulent hall. Margaret's face drained of color, her hands trembling as whispers erupted among the guests. "She's lying," Margaret screeched, but the unease spreading across the room told another story. People believed Amara, not because she was staff, but because truth has a way of carrying weight. And Amara had details, dates, and witnesses enough to make anyone listen. The aftermath was chaos. Guests left in waves, muttering about what they had heard, some pulling out their phones to fact-check, others vowing to never associate with the Whitmores again. By morning, the city's papers were filled with headlines. Charity Queen exposed. Whitmore scandal shakes high society. Reporters camped outside the mansion gates, and calls flooded in from creditors, investors, and lawyers. The Whitmores, once untouchable, were now crumbling. Margaret tried desperately to silence the storm, but evidence Amara had shared with a journalist the night before made it impossible. Authorities began investigating the family's finances, and the so-called elite empire the Whitmores had built was collapsing like a house of cards. And Amara? She didn't return to the mansion. She didn't need to. Her quiet dignity and courage had already spoken louder than any insult ever could. Instead, she launched a foundation of her own, this time a real one, dedicated to protecting employees from workplace abuse, discrimination, and exploitation. The very words meant to belittle her. "Go clean something," became her slogan, flipped into empowerment. Clean the system, clean the corruption, clean the abuse. Her story spread across social media, sparking conversations about race, class, and respect. And the world applauded, not just because she had brought down a wealthy, corrupt family, but because she had done it without losing herself. The next time someone tried to dismiss her or anyone like her, they would think twice. Because Amara's next move had left everyone speechless, and the echoes of her defiance would never be silenced.